Hello, my friends. Happy Friday. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome to Backstage Pass, episode 5. I was meant to actually drop this a week or two ago, but it's just been a bit manic busy here. Um, quite a lot of things to cover. The first thing which I had actually planned for this video was UA's guitar plugin because they've been giving it away all the way through October, but now it's the 7th of November. And that offer has now ended. So I sincerely hope if you missed it that you grabbed UA's guitar free plugin because it's really, really good. It's Showtime 64. It sounds great. I'm a big fan of scuff amps, which I talk about a lot on the channel. And there hasn't been that many plugins that I like much more than Scuffum amps. This is a really, I mean, it's universal audio. You kind of expect it to be pretty decent, but this is a really nice sounding plugin. I'm quite keen to hear what their other guitar amps sound like. If you've used them or if you use them, let me know in the comments of this video what you think of them. I know they do a Vox, like an AC30, I think it is. So I'm quite keen to get an AC30 amp sim. So that may well be worth checking out because the Showtime 64 sounds great. It's a really solid sounding amp sim. Sounds really real. The room sound in it is awesome. So if you're a guitarist, you really and you're looking for some amp sims, the UA stuff well worth checking out. Commiserations to, let me just close this chat thing here. Okay, commiserations if you missed it, and apologies because I think I mentioned it in the post on my channel, but like I said, I meant to mention it on at least a live stream to give you the heads up. But I know there's a lot of other channels out there, so hopefully in October, if you're a guitarist, you wanted a guitar amp sim, you grabbed it because it sounds cool. It's got a very lovely tremolo on it as well. Anyway, if you checked out any of UA's guitar plugins, let me know in the comments, but I like this one. Okay, some other things just to quickly go over. Of course, the usual Q&A in the Backstage Pass live stream. If there's anything you want to ask me about any recent videos, past videos, or just anything that you want to chat about from your studio, drop it in the live chat and I'll do my best to give you a decent answer. I've just been reviewing that desk, which looks a bit plain and simple in this video, but it's like a smart desk, and it's got motors in the legs. You can just about see that they're kind of a bit telescopic, and it basically moves from a sitting to a standing desk, which is really cool. You may or may not know, I had this desk, which I'm at now, custom made because me and my family all ground live. That's kind of just a bit of a term for basically we don't have any chairs or beds. We have just tie mats, and we generally sit on those. I do sit on this footstool quite a lot, and sometimes I'm squatting, sometimes I'm just sitting on the floor or on a cushion. The reason I do that was because I always had just so many back problems, particularly working in a studio. And if you spend any time mixing or getting engrossed in the computer and you're in a chair, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't think anybody escapes the back problems if you're sitting in a typical chair. I used to find as well as leaning forward a lot because I'm a guitarist. I'd be leaning forward out of the chair, trying to get away from arms of chairs and things like that, and just always be in a really poor posture. So I'm much happier ground living. But when this company like contacted me and said, "Do you want to check out our standing desk?" I was like, "Okay, yeah, let's give that a go." So it's really cool that it has 2 motors in either leg, and well, you can check it out in the video, but it can go all the way up to standing and all the way up down to really quite low as well. You can save those positions, and I've seen a few people using standing desks, and I think it's quite a smart idea. So yeah, definitely check that out. It's not also one of the cheaper ones which I've seen because they can get really expensive. I think that one is 299 in the UK, which I think is pretty reasonable. Actually, it's very solid, and yeah, well worth the investment. It'll save you back. That's the main thing. You only get one back. So that yeah, that's cool. That's a cool product which I've just been checking out. Another thing which I was having a look at, which I wanted to talk about actually, was these. These from a company called AeroZoom, and they look really cool. That's why I was keen for them to send them in. Um, but they're really quite thin. They're about a centimeter thin, and they're marketed as diffusion panels. But as I said to the guys over at AeroZoom when I got them, I was a bit disappointed because I don't think there's going to be much diffusion going on here. The actual diffuser itself is probably less than a centimeter, and then it's mounted on, yeah, it's either like quite dense foam or it's perhaps a little bit more like the felt that the panels. I can see if you can see any. Oh yeah, there's some panels on the back wall, the audio silk panels, which I've got. Similar kind of material, but ultimately they're sort of marketed as a diffuser panel, which is meant to kind of scatter frequencies. So a good idea, I would think, say on a back wall, for example, where the frequencies are hitting the back wall and you want them to scatter off rather than firing back at you again. But as far as I know about diffusion, it's also possible to make things worse quite easily. But with these, I don't think there's any diffusion really going to be going on at all because they're really thin. I just don't think they're capable, which is why I didn't review them. I wanted to mention that because sometimes things are sent in. Sometimes I get comments and people will say, "Oh, well, you know, you got sent these products for free, so you're going to say that they're really good." Generally don't. Well, I don't talk about products that I don't like. Sometimes I'll get sent things and I think, well, I'm not too sure about this or that, which I'll mention in a video, but I want to highlight the things that I really like about it. That's a different thing. But with these, I just couldn't think like for you guys, this would be really fair to kind of put up. The thing is, they look really nice. I think they look nice. The other thing is, for a box of 12 there, we're looking at about 150 quid, and you can get probably about 4 or 6 of the larger felt panels that are behind me. And whilst they're only still about a centimeter thick, I think they do a really good job. They cover a lot of the wall. And what I like about them as well is you can double them up. So like on the wall that's behind this monitor, I've got 3 stacked. So they're getting on now to be somewhere around 2 inches thick. So you can kind of add to them as your finances allow. And I like them. I think they're a really good, easy solution. These also stick on, so the backs of these come off, and then you stick them onto the wall. I just don't. I'm not convinced they're going to do that much, and there isn't that much wall coverage with them either. So I think they look really nice. I'm not convinced they're going to do that much. So that was that. That's the AeroZoom panels. Although I would say they do look nice. So if you want to look the part, I think they look great. But you know, we've got to talk about the sound. We've got to talk about are they really gonna really do a job pound for pound? I think they go along with a lot of inexpensive absorption panels. I mean, that said, a lot of people say about the panels that I'm using here, the audio silk panels, that they're, you know, thin, which they are at a centimeter. But I definitely noticed the difference of having them up and not having them up. That's the golden rule, really, with absorption panels, I think, in any home studio. If it sounds a bit better, then you're winning. I'm not going to get any more technical into that than that. ProMix method came up. That's another thing I've got down here. That's a free starter course if you're starting out mixing. I think it's there's 5 modules to it. It's really talking about the foundation of mixing, building the mix up from ground zero and getting to the point just before you start putting the plugins in. It's really a mix to say don't put a mixed course to say don't just load the plugins in straight away, but take your time just to build a nice solid foundation. That's gonna help you to get a much better mix. So if you're new to starting out mixing, that's a completely free like mini course which I've put up called ProMix Method. You can find that it was in the courses tab of YouTube, but YouTube in its infinite wisdom decided because it was a mini course that it's not actually a course, it's a playlist. So you'll find it in the playlists. There's 2 courses currently available in the courses tab, which only arrived about two weeks ago. There seems so many things going on YouTube at the moment. And they're available if you want to join the channel. So you'll find 2 there. Channel Strip 101, which is probably one of my favorite courses that I made because it really is the way that I mix. And There's also 10-step pro vocal as well for you vocalists or people who want to learn more about mixing decent vocals. That's a really cool, quick access course, just 10 lessons in that. I've got some more to add. Just got to find the time to do it. I want to move on and talk a bit about AI because I've been having quite a lot of conversations with some of my friends about AI and the enthusiasm killer of AI. Also want to mention, if you've got any questions at all, this is a live Q&A. Drop your questions in the chat and I'll do my best to answer them. That's very nice coffee. Yeah, AI killing enthusiasm. Yeah, a lot of chats with some friends about this, and there's a great quote from Bowie floating around where he's really talking about remembering why you started doing this in the first place, and I think that's a great place to come back to if you're finding that the whole AI thing is starting to overwhelm you a bit, and it certainly did with me. I certainly got to a point where I think I was starting to think, well, what's even the point of creating new music? And I certainly know, as I said, a number of my friends are feeling that way as well. In terms of both being a producer, in terms of a mixer, in terms of writing, in terms of recording, when you start seeing music coming out and it sounds good and you think, wow, they did that like that. I think certainly, like, I saw one the other day of like a Robbie Williams hair metal version. If Robbie recorded Angels in the 80s, and it sounded excellent. The whole thing was just brilliant, and of course it's quite funny as well. But it was just brilliant. If somebody had have done it, then I would have been like, dude, this is brilliant. You know, what an amazing voice, what a great idea. And you know, it sounds brilliant, but of course it's just happened like that. Now I don't know, I've never tried it with some of these AI music creators, how easy it is to do to that level. But is there any skill in it? Is there much skill in it? I don't know. But increasingly, I don't think there's gonna be, and that kind of takes you down a rabbit hole of, so what's the point? If somebody can just create, and I've seen the people creating the original music. I saw Rick Beato talking about that, creating not just the original music, but also like an original artist and the whole package, the whole virtual thing all at once in like 30 seconds. It does like, well, what is the point? What is the point of creating any music or sitting down and spending your time doing it? And I really think that going back to that Bowie quote, the conclusion is, and certainly what helped me get out of that was going back to me when I was 14 or 15, and just simply the joy of making music. Just simply the joy of sitting down with a guitar and writing a song and expressing how you feel. That's like your your right to do that, and it's good for you to do it. And remembering that the joy that gave you, and really not thinking about what's going on outside those four walls. Oh, I've just waved at my camera. Hopefully it won't start following me. Yeah, it might. I have to wave my camera again. um, that's my way out of the AI rabbit hole. To remember being the child, to remember the joy of writing, to remember the joy of making music, and make music for that. And I believe good things will come. Not to get too bogged down in the massive big Spotify story that's going on, or numerous AI progressive progressions in AI. I think that we must go back to, or to remember why we started doing these things in the first place. Go back to inside and how that feels, because I think that's the way forward. Now, what happened to me was I kind of focused on that for a while, and then I had a really big jump of creativity. I just got back into making my own music again and really enjoying it, and probably making the best, certainly the best sounding music that I've done in a very, very long time, if ever. And I haven't recorded a record for about 10 years. So definitely something in that. So it kind of did me a favor because it kicked me out of a place that I'd been for ages. It forced me to think about why I make music. How do you feel watching this? Uh, how do you feel about AI? What has it affected you mentally and your enthusiasm to create music, want to do music? Has it has it deflated you? Let me know in the chat. I think it's such an interesting topic, um, because part of me likes what some of the progressions, and the other part of me, I think, it's hard to see at the moment. The music industry just feels like a pretty tough place to be in. It's always been a bit of a challenging space, but it feels like it's really getting encroached upon at the moment. Um, so that's AI. As I say, if you're watching this in the membership area, leave a comment below, and I'll get back to you. Let's move on to D-Bleed, which was, I think, a good couple of weeks ago when I reviewed that. Now that's an example of, I suppose, these AI plugins which help in a smaller way to assist us are great. It's just how far, if these plugins start assisting us too much, then what jobs do we have? D-Bleed is a great example of a smart plugin which is super handy solving the age-old problem of cymbal bleed, and it does it incredibly well. Another great plugin from THR Audio, I believe. They also did Vox Guru, which I reviewed last year. Also an excellent, surprisingly good plugin, which gives you the whole vocal chain all in one plugin, and all elements of it sound really good, which is quite unusual. I don't think I've come across another plugin of that nature which worked quite as well as Vox Guru. Really like that plugin a lot, and everything that's going on at THR Audio, coming up some really good stuff. A couple more things just to go over. Before I do, as it is a Q&A, if there's anything you want to add, then do drop it in the chat window. I'm going to have a slug of coffee and just give you a few moments if you want to drop any questions in there or ask about anything which I have talked about today. One of the other things which I did this week was I dropped a video about I think it was about 15 plugins which I actually used on a regular basis. The reason I did that was because I needed to do a plugin scan, and there was about 450 plugins in there. And I've just taken time to actually put the plugins I use in a folder. I know so many people have that problem, that you have all these plugins and you come to do a mix, and even looking through the plugins is enough to make you not want to do the mix, because you've got to rifle through all the plugins that you actually use. So just getting really streamlined with mixing. All these things make such a difference, because the more you mix, the more you just need to get your shop in order. So when you sit at a desk, you're ready to go. It's the same as having a mic set up, or just making sure that your desk is ready to go. Otherwise, all these things in a home studio just get in the way. All you generally need is a few of these things to go, oh, do you know what? I'm going to go and do something else because I don't want to do this update, or I don't want to set this microphone up. So any questions, let me know in the chat box. A couple of other things. Multiple projects I've got up here. Do you work with multiple projects? Are you a one song at a time person, or are you a multiple projects person? I've got this up in today's live stream because I've historically been a one project person, but just because it's been a really busy few weeks, I think maybe it's the sort of turn from summer into autumn. There's a lot more people out there getting creative, and just had a lot of mixed projects coming in. And I found myself with my own stuff as well, with about 3 or 4 other clients' mixes all on the go. So about like 5 songs all at different stages on the go at the moment, different projects. And I've just never worked like that before. And I've really, really enjoyed it. I don't know whether it's because I was a bit more chaotic in my workflow before, when I used to mix professionally before. I think doing a lot of work here on Real Home Studio and actually creating these courses and doing these tutorial videos has really helped me in turn as well think, actually, I could do this a lot more sensibly. I think so. But usually mentally, having 5 projects would have stressed me so much out, whereas I'm actually finding it's nice to do some work on one, then walk away and work on some others. Do you work multiply? Do you work solo? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments below if you're watching this from the members area after the live stream. So yeah, I mentioned if you weren't here before, I was talking about the desk, which is very cool behind me. I've just dropped a video on that. The smart desk, which is very cool. Apparently, it takes up to 150 kilograms of weight, so it goes right down to seated position and it goes right up to a standing position, which is a really clever thing. I love the idea of a standing desk. As I say, I know a lot of friends that use them. I've seen a lot of people on YouTube channels using them. It seemed like a really smart idea. And this saves you having to technically, I suppose, having 2 desks. This, you can just save the 2 positions and have both. It's got to be good for you rather than constantly sitting. I mean, as I say, I talk about ground living, but even just sitting, that really encourages, if I'm sitting on the floor or a cushion, it encourages me to move around quite a lot, which is a good thing. I don't have that on my back when I get up because I'm a bit uncomfortable, if I'm honest, sitting down. And I think that's a good thing. But being in a standing position's got to be the best, I think. You could get like a walk, one of those walking mats as well under that, and walk whilst you're. Could you do that walking whilst you're emailing? Would that just be a little bit full on? Maybe. But I mean, very cool idea. And it's great that it's not too expensive because I've seen some of them get into the 4 figures. So that's 299 is pretty cool. Yeah, clever idea from Magvida. You can check the video out. That's dropped this afternoon. Guys, I think that's about it. That was AI. That was these panels, which I think are about 80% looks, 20% do anything. I'm not here to bash them at all. I'm just kind of like, I think they look really cool. I just think there might be better choices for the money. Down the desk. I sincerely hope if you're watching this, you grabbed the Universal Audio Guitar plugin in October. If you didn't, give them a try. That was the Showtime 64, but there's a whole bunch of others as well. If you've tried them, let me know in the comments. I think from trying out the free one, they sound really good. So I'm hoping to try some of those out and put them in a video really soon. Let me know about multiple projects, how you like to work. Have yourself an absolutely brilliant weekend. What are you up to? Let me know. Let me know what you're up to. Are you mixing? Are you mixing? Are you using any AI products when you are mixing? How far are people using AI right now? That's something I'm interested in. Are people choosing just not to? I see loads of people are deciding to be doorless. That seems to be the big trend at the moment. Lots of people just going, I think maybe just had enough of AI and I'm going completely doorless. I'm going to buy a Tascam 404 and I'm just going to work on a tape 4 track. I've had enough. And there's a lot to be said for that. Okay, guys, have a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. I'll see you in the videos next week. And take care of yourself. Bye for now.